February 2026. Tehran, 11:47 p.m. The city is silent, but not the silence of peace, the silence of a nation holding its breath. Deep beneath the streets of Tehran, inside a fortified underground compound so secure that its elevator alone takes 5 minutes to descend to its lowest level, the most powerful man in Iran sits alone with his thoughts. For 36 years, Ali Khamenei commanded armies, crushed revolutions, and shaped the destiny of 90 million people with an iron hand wrapped in the cloth of religion. Tonight, that hand will go still forever. Somewhere above him, in the cold February sky, Israeli and American jets are already in position. The man who survived 6 arrests, 3 years of exile, and a bomb that nearly tore his body apart, does not know these are his final hours. But history does. And in less than 24 hours, the world will never be the same. Mashhad, Iran, 1939. In a modest home in one of Islam's holiest cities, a boy was born who would one day hold the fate of an entire nation in his hands. Ali Khamenei grew up not in palaces, but in poverty. His father was a cleric. His world was books, prayer, and the quiet corridors of religious study. There was nothing in his early years that hinted at the iron ruler he would become. At a young age, he traveled to Qom, Iran's most sacred center of Islamic learning. There, in the hushed halls of theological study, he encountered a man who would change the course of his life forever. Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. The mentor. The revolutionary. The flame that would set an entire nation on fire. Khamenei absorbed everything, not just the theology, but the anger. The deep, burning resentment against the Shah. Against Western interference, against America. Against Israel. He didn't just study revolution, he became it. And the Shah's regime noticed. 6 times, he was arrested. Thrown into cold prison cells for daring to speak against the crown. 3 years, he spent in exile, cut off from his country, his people, his purpose. But exile does not break men like Khamenei. It sharpens them. Every arrest was a lesson, every prison wall was a classroom, and by the time 1979 arrived, when the streets of Tehran erupted, when the Shah fled in disgrace, when Khamenei's plane touched Iranian soil and millions wept with joy, Khamenei was not a bystander. He was at the center of the storm. The humble cleric from Mashhad had helped bring down a monarchy. But the question that history would soon ask, was he truly a liberator, or simply the next tyrant, waiting for his turn? Tehran, 1981. The revolution had won. But revolutions are messy things. They devour their own children. They breed chaos, paranoia, and power struggles. And in the bloody aftermath of 1979, Iran was a nation on fire from within. It was in this chaos that Khamenei made his move. At just 42 years old, he became the president of Iran. Not the supreme authority, not yet, but a man learning the architecture of power, watching, calculating, building alliances with the quiet patience of a chess grandmaster. Then, June 3, 1989, Ayatollah Khamenei took his final breath. The father of the revolution was gone, and Iran held its breath. Who would inherit the throne of theocracy? The answer came swiftly. Ali Khamenei was named supreme leader. Not because he was the most qualified, not because he held the highest religious rank, but because he was trusted, loyal, and dangerously ambitious in ways that others had not yet fully understood. Once the crown was on his head, the transformation began. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRK, was no longer just a military force. Under Khamenei's vision, it became a state within a state, a shadow empire controlling Iran's economy, its politics, its streets, and its borders, loyal not to Iran, but to him. And his ambitions did not stop at Iran's borders. He looked outward. Lebanon. He armed and funded Hezbollah, transforming a militia into one of the most powerful non-state military forces on earth. Palestine. He bankrolled Hamas, fueling decades of conflict under the banner of resistance. Yemen. He equipped the Houthis, turning a tribal insurgency into a regional missile force that could strike Saudi Arabia and disrupt global shipping lanes. He called it the axis of resistance, a network of proxy armies stretching from the Mediterranean to the Red Sea, all answering, ultimately, to one man in Tehran. For 36 years, longer than any other leader in West Asia, Khamenei ruled. But here is the great contradiction of his legacy. The revolution had promised freedom. What Khamenei built was something else entirely. Surveillance, censorship, executions, a theocratic police state where women were beaten for showing their hair, where journalists disappeared into unmarked prisons, where any voice of dissent was crushed before it could become a whisper. The liberator had become the jailer, and the worst was still to come. This is where the mask comes off. Every tyrant wears one. A mask of ideology, of religion, of justice. Khamenei's mask was Islam. From the beginning, he built a machine designed for one purpose: to destroy dissent before it could breathe. Journalists vanished into Evin prison. Activists were hanged in public squares. Lawyers who defended political prisoners became political prisoners themselves. He called it protecting the Islamic Republic. History calls it something else. 1999, student uprisings erupted in Tehran. Security forces stormed university dormitories at midnight, beating sleeping students with batons. Khamenei called them enemies of God. 2009, millions poured into the streets after a stolen election. A young woman named Neda Akka Sultan was filmed dying on a Tehran street. Her image traveled around the world. Khamenei did not flinch. 2022, Mahsa Amini, 22 years old, died in morality police custody. The nation exploded. Over 500 protesters killed, 15,000 arrested. Khamenei called it a foreign conspiracy. December 2025, Iran's streets erupted one final time. Not just students, everyone. The regime's response was its most savage yet. Over 7,000 people killed, not on a battlefield, but on their own streets, in their own cities, by their own government. Then in January 2026, Khamenei appeared on state television. He acknowledged that several thousand had died. No apology, no accountability. He blamed America. He blamed Israel. All along, beneath the bloodshed, he pursued his ultimate insurance policy, the nuclear bomb. Decades of denial. Underground centrifuges, enriched uranium, missile delivery systems. He believed nuclear capability would make him untouchable. A man who spoke endlessly of divine justice had become the greatest oppressor his own people had ever known. The blood on his hands was not American, not Israeli, it was Iranian. And history was about to collect its debt. October 7, 2023. A date that changed everything. Hamas, funded and armed by Tehran, launched the deadliest attack on Israeli soil in history. Over 1,200 people massacred in a single morning. Khamenei had lit the match. He did not yet understand he had also lit his own fuse. Israel did not just respond to Hamas. It began dismantling the entire axis of resistance, piece by piece. Hezbollah. Rebuilt over 40 years. 150,000 rockets. Its commanders eliminated one by one. Its infrastructure obliterated. Collapsed. December 2024, Bashar al-Assad, Iran's most critical Arab ally, fled Damascus in the middle of the night. Syria was gone. Lebanon was gone. The axis of resistance was rubble. June 2025, the 12-day war. Israel struck Iran's nuclear facilities directly. Underground bunkers, enrichment plants, missile sites. Khamenei's ultimate insurance policy, destroyed, and now his own people turned on him. December 2025, millions filled the streets, no longer demanding reform, demanding his removal. For the first time in 36 years, Khamenei was afraid. He retreated into secrecy. Public appearances stopped, and beneath Tehran, he descended into a bunker so deep its elevator took 5 full minutes to reach the bottom. The hunter had become the hunted. Washington, D.C. Langley, Virginia. February 2026. Deep inside CIA headquarters, analysts had been tracking a signal. Not a phone, not an email. A pattern. The movement of food supplies, the rotation of guards, the subtle electromagnetic signatures of a heavily fortified underground compound in Tehran. They had found him. The intelligence was shared with Israel within hours, and Israel, which had already lost thousands of its own citizens to decades of Iranian-backed terror, did not hesitate. The clock was moved forward. 28 February 2026. Tehran. Late evening. On the surface, the city appeared normal. But high above the clouds, beyond radar detection, beyond anything Iran's blinded air defense systems could see, the operation had already begun. Because hours before the first missile was fired, US Cyber Command had gone to work. Iran's communications infrastructure, military networks, air defense systems, command and control channels were systematically shut down. Blinded, silenced. Khamenei's generals could not see, could not communicate, could not respond. Iran was deaf. Iran was blind. And at the center of it all, deep beneath Tehran, Ali Khamenei sat at his desk, performing his duties, signing documents, receiving briefings, unaware that the sky above him had already been decided. The man who had ordered the deaths of thousands did not see it coming. The missiles did not announce themselves. They simply arrived. And in the moments that followed, Iranian state television went dark. Government websites crashed. Military radio fell silent. Then came the official statement: the supreme leader is safe and sound. Silence. Another statement: the supreme leader is being cared for. More silence. And then, nothing. But outside, something extraordinary was happening. In the streets of Tehran, in Isfahan, in Shiraz, in cities across Iran where the regime had spent decades crushing every flicker of joy that dared show itself, people were celebrating. Strangers embraced each other weeping, not from grief, but from something they had almost forgotten how to feel. Statues of Khamenei, the same statues that regimes always erect to remind people of their own smallness, were pulled down, dragged through streets, smashed. Fireworks lit the sky over Tehran. Not government fireworks, people's fireworks. Meanwhile, in the mosques, in the homes of the deeply faithful, in the Irq barracks where men had devoted their lives to this supreme leader, others wept. 2 Irans. One night, one moment, and one man, gone forever. Apilkul Saike Rehehain, word count Kakayel Rakunga, surf 80 words main Liktahun. 1 March 2026. 5 Virulam. Iranian state television. A anchor, tears streaming down his face, breaks the silence. Our supreme leader has achieved martyrdom. 40 days of national mourning declared, but Khamenei did not die alone. His daughter, his son-in-law, his grandson, all gone. From Washington, Donald Trump's statement was brief. Justice for the people of Iran. 2 words that carried the weight of 36 years. The Islamic Republic had lost its heart, and no one knew what came next. 3 possibilities, 3 futures. Regime continuity, military takeover, or total collapse. On 9 March 2026, the answer came. Mojtaba Khamenei, Ali's own son, was named supreme leader. The revolution had become a dynasty. But the deeper question remains: can 36 years of iron rule, proxy wars, and the blood of thousands simply be inherited? Or did it die in that bunker on February 28th? History is still writing its answer.